like Clark, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, in this video I want to talk about some spoilers that Organic Dinosaur did actually release. He released spoilers about episode 182, 183, and 184, so it's going to be the next 3 episodes. And from what we're seeing right now, it doesn't necessarily look like we're going to be skipping a week, which is a very good thing. If you guys do actually recall, last week we did have like a 2-week hiatus in the Boruto anime. It wasn't necessarily that crazy. I'm pretty sure it was for like New Year's something. I have absolutely no idea, but we just had a break. But in this particular situation, we will not have a break. Now in episode 182, the title is going to be Ao. Into the actual paragraph, it says Tono Katasuke, a member of the Scientific Ninja Tools team, has returned on site after the Chunin exam at the behest of the Hokage. When Boruto sees Katasuke, he starts to feel irritated due to his memories of Katasuke from what he had experienced during the Chunin exam. However, Boruto and others from Team 7 have been commanded to undertake a mission to serve as an escort to Katasuke and to transport a scientific ninja tool. Even though things were not going to his liking, Boruto took up the mission anyway. As they headed towards their destination via Thunder Car, they happened to meet one of Katasuke's acquaintances, a former shinobi named Ao. Meanwhile, Sarutobi Konohamaru and Mujino were in the midst of investigating the scene of a crash incident when something perilous approached them. Alright, so this is pretty much exactly what happened in chapter 17 of the Boruto manga. So because of that, plus the summary, a lot of people do have a very good understanding and an idea of exactly what's going to happen in this episode right here. One of the things in this episode that I'm definitely looking forward to is going to have to be Kashin Koji. Of course, it doesn't necessarily talk about Kashin Koji in the spoilers for this particular episode right here, but from the Boruto manga and from everything that we've seen, Kashin Koji is most likely going to be involved in this particular episode right here. Now, I was going to actually meet up with Boruto and everybody else on the train. Well, it's not necessarily going to be a meetup per se. They're just going to run into Ao, as the spoilers did actually say. But in this particular situation, I was going to have like I should say a moment with Boruto. Boruto is not necessarily going to feel anything too crazy with Ao, and they're not necessarily going to be suspicious of Ao or anything like that, but it's just going to be a very good scene. Of course, I want to see how they do it in the Boruto anime and the Boruto manga. It was definitely a very impactful scene with those two, so I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be even more so in the Boruto anime. Now, of course, I talked about Kashin Koji. I think that Kashin Koji at the end of this episode is probably going to be something very interesting, mainly because, of course, it's going to be building up his anime presence. When we talk about the Boruto manga, Kashin Koji is one of the best characters, and I think in the anime they have to represent Kashin Koji as such, and hopefully the Boruto anime does my man's Kashin Koji absolute justice. Now, the next episode is going to be episode 183. The title is going to be Hands. Now, into the actual paragraph, it says Boruto and the rest of Team 7 have finally arrived with Katasuke at the Advanced Technology Research Institute. Boruto and his comrades then happen to meet up with a dearly missed old friend of theirs. Despite finishing up with their original mission without any issues, their mission continues on. It's been arranged for Boruto and his teammates to collaborate with the others to test out some other scientific ninja tools that are currently undergoing development. Even though Boruto was grumbling about it at first, his feelings gradually change as he continues to conduct test runs. While they were in the midst of conducting the trial runs, Team 7 is ordered by the Hokage to embark upon a new emergency mission. Alright, this episode right here is going to be one of my favorite episodes among the spoils, possibly even my favorite episode among the spoils, even though Kashin Koji is going to be involved in the last episode. In this episode right here, it's going to be not only just the fact that Sumire is going to be involved. Of course, we understand that Boruto and Sumire, they have a moment, they have their own moments as well. It's going to be a very stressful time for the Sada fans out there. The best part of this episode is going to have to be when Boruto and the rest of Team 7 does actually quote-unquote test out the experimental scientific technology. In this particular scene, you're going to get to see Sada fight off against Mitsuki and Boruto. Now, of course, on the surface, it's going to seem like a very big mismatch, obviously because Sada is not necessarily strong enough to take on Mitsuki and Boruto, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of the Sada fans out there would probably disagree with that. She's just not. But in this particular situation, it's going to be an even playing field just because of the sheer fact that Sada is going to be wielding a scientific technology that they will be testing out now, or a couple of scientific technologies that they will be testing out. Now, I think this right here, as I said, super underrated scene. I don't necessarily expect insane animation or insane choreography, but I think it's going to be a very good scene just to show exactly where Boruto, Mitsuki, and of course Sada are in terms of power and skill level. One of the things that I personally hate about reading manga in general, not just the Boruto manga, but as I said, manga in general, is the fact that the fight scenes are not nearly as entertaining as the anime fight scenes. And of course, I was actually entertaining with Sada going up against Boruto and Mitsuki in the Boruto manga. So if it was entertaining in the Boruto manga, it has to be a lot more entertaining in the Boruto anime, and I think I'm probably gonna like that a lot. So of course, I have extremely high hopes for that scene. Another huge part about this episode has to be the ending and the spoilers. It says, while they were in the midst of conducting the trials, Team 7 was ordered by the Hokage to embark upon a new emergency mission. Now for the manga readers out there, we pretty much already understand what this new emergency mission is going to eventually be. They're going to be tasked to go help Konohama and Mujino with the mission that they are on. Now a couple of things that I do want to point out specifically about this episode that we don't necessarily get to see in the spoilers. Because it is the anime and because the anime adds a lot of stuff to the Boruto manga, we have to assume that there's going to be some extra scenes. For example, in the last episode that we did see in the Boruto anime, we seen Deepa be involved. We also found out that Kashin Koji was actually ordered to kill Victor. A whole bunch of things that we did find out in episode 181. So in this particular situation right here, because it is keeping it so vague and so close to the vest in terms of the Boruto manga, I have to expect that they're going to hit us with some sort of curveball in this particular episode right here. So I'm really hopeful to see exactly what they have in store. Now specifically what I think they could possibly have in store, it could possibly be something in the fight that we didn't necessarily see in the Boruto manga. I think that right there is going to be the most realistic situations, but of course I think at this particular point what we have to understand is that every single episode there is definitely a potential of us seeing Kawaki and also more scenes of the Kata organization, and I think that right there would definitely be a very good sight to see. Now the next episode is episode 184. The title is going to be Puppets, and the paragraph says Konohama and Mujino have been cut off from all communications while they were in the midst of carrying out their mission. Team 7, Katasuke, and the ninja dog Shimaru are then sent off together in search of their whereabouts, and so they start to head towards the location where the last transmission had ended from Konohama and Mujino. There, Boruto and his comrades get attacked by some mysterious puppets. They seem to be puppets that are made from advanced scientific ninja tools. With his own scientific ninja tools, Katasuke battles against them as well. Once Boruto and his teammates made sure that the puppets would not come alive again, Shimaru was then able to determine the whereabouts of Konohama and Mujino. When Shimaru leads Boruto and his comrades over to their location, Ao suddenly appears in front of everybody. Alright, now this right here is going to be a very entertaining scene fight wise. One of the things that I do have to point out is the fact that there is a downside to this episode, and it's because the enemy or the foe isn't necessarily going to be that interesting, because they're going to be quote unquote puppets that were enhanced by scientific technology. They don't necessarily garner any emotional connection. For example, in the last episode that I did talk about, we have Team 7 fighting amongst themselves. People are emotionally attached to not only Sada but also Mitsuki and Boruto on the other side of things. In this particular situation, there's really only emotional attachments to one particular side. So I really hope, I 100% hope this is going to be animated very, very good. If it's not, this has the potential to be a very bad episode. So I think they have to be very good animation wise. Now similar to the last preview that I did read, this preview right here doesn't necessarily sway from the Boruto manga description of what exactly is going to happen in this particular episode right here. So because of that, of course I want to talk about exactly what could possibly happen that we did not see in the Boruto manga and what these spoilers are not necessarily telling us. This right here is going to be some more spoilers from the Boruto manga that isn't necessarily shown right here, but one of the things that we do know is the fact that Kawaki fought against these exact same puppets. Now we don't know exactly when he fought against these exact same puppets, but I think if there was a possibility of us seeing Kawaki, or the closest time for us seeing Kawaki, I think this right here would possibly make the most sense. Now I do want to point out, I think the most likely time for us to see Kawaki is when the anime actually does adapt Kawaki being introduced into the Boruto manga. As I said earlier, we have absolutely no idea at this particular point. Literally, Kawaki can be introduced in episode 182, the next episode of the Boruto anime, and I would not be surprised at all. But let me know what you guys think about these spoilers in the comment section below, and give me your guys' favorite episode. As I said, my personal favorite episode has to be episode 183. That's going to be the episode when Sada fights against Boruto and Mitsuki. I think that right there is going to definitely be a very good fight because I did enjoy into the Boruto manga. But let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.